Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Welcome to the Worry-Free Retirement with best-selling author and fiduciary Tony Walker.
If you got it, you don't need it. If you need it, you don't got it. You don't get it, shame on you. Funny, funny, funny what money can do. Them that have it, get more of it. The less they need it, the more they love it. And it sticks to them like glue. Funny, funny, funny what money can do.
As a kid growing up in the 60s, I loved to watch those shoot-'em-up, fight-'em-up movies featuring someone doing battle against all odds. And one of my favorite movies in this genre was the 300 Spartans. The 300 Spartans movie was first shown in 1962, later recreated in 2006 to a more technical, high-def version. And basically the 300 Spartans recounted the historical battle between 300 well-trained Greek soldiers, referred to as Spartans, fighting against an overwhelming force of Persians bound and determined to overtake Greece. I guess the thought of these 300 outmanned Spartans committed to a cause and fighting to the bitter end inspired me as a kid to always have a cause in mind and, just as importantly, ready to stand my ground to defend it. Today, as a slightly overweight 60-year-old retirement planning specialist in a sweater vest, the idea of feeling committed to a cause is just as important to me now as it was when I first got into this business some 35 years ago. Today, more than ever, I am still committed to this mission of helping savers worry less about money as I continue to preach the good news of safety over risk and how to make sure that your money lasts as long as you do. And, of course, week after week, we pull it off with this show, The Worry-Free Retirement. Well, folks, welcome to the Worry-Free Retirement, and as I said, I'm that little man in the sweater vest, retirement planning specialist and fiduciary Tony Walker, and today, February 25th, 2020, I am pleased and honored to announce that just in a few minutes, right after the recording of this radio show, we are going to be recording our 300th episode of the Worry-Free Retirement television show. Now, this is a huge milestone, and I thought it would be very appropriate today for savers to understand why Tony Walker would take so much of my time and my money to work to create not only the radio show you're listening to, but also the TV show, which is on in several stations throughout the state of Kentucky, as well, besides doing the radio and TV show, why it is that I continue to meet with so many savers. So who is this guy, Tony Walker? Maybe more importantly, what's behind the company of Tony Walker Financial? And why is it that we strive to help these savers worry less about money? Well, of course, before we get into today's program, I've got to introduce America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander. Good morning, Aaron.
Hey, good morning, sir. And how are you?
Actually, I'm doing very well, sitting beside you over there, preparing the TV show. See, people don't know about all this preparation. Is our own technical assistants, Miss Megan Murphy. Megan, I know we don't have you mic'd up over there, but did I get that recount of the Spartans in Greece and Persia? Was that pretty close? Pretty accurate.
Pretty
Yeah, she's
accurate,
into all
she
that
says.
stuff. Pretty accurate. Yeah, I am no historian. Funny story about that, Aaron. You know, years ago, as you know, my wife's uncle was Hal Moore, the late Hal Moore that Mel Gibson played in the movie We Were Soldiers. And the story goes something like this. He and the director of the movie were literally on the set of wherever they were going to be filming this. I can't remember if they did a lot of it in Puerto Rico. I don't think they literally went to Vietnam, but anyway, wherever they were. And so they had Hal on the set to kind of share with them, okay, how did this battle of Ia Drang in Vietnam play out? And they said, you know, the director was going through everything, and this came from Hal. He told me this, General Moore, when he was back alive. I met him a few times. He said the guy was saying, we're going to do this shot, and finally Hal kept interrupting him, saying, no, that's not how it happened. We got to do this and this. And finally the director said, Hal, this is not the History Channel. This is Hollywood.
Yeah.
So it's going to be about 90% accurate. So Megan was, I guess I was 90% accurate on the Spartan thing. Good enough? Okay. So basically, this is a huge deal, folks. How many radio shows have we done, Aaron?
So this is episode number 168. So we started doing the radio show a couple of years after we started doing the TV show. So
I couldn't remember.
You've done just a little over half the number of radio shows as you have TV shows.
When you say you, this is really kind of a we thing. I mean, you've been with me.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And then now, I mean, it really is crazy. We plan our shows out, folks, several weeks in advance. And Aaron was like, oh, by the way, Tony, when we record our February 25th episode, that's going to be your 300th TV episode. I said, man, you got to be kidding me. That is crazy. So what I had Aaron do, because I don't really have any relation to what that even means. To me, this is just what I do. I get up, and then we're going to share a little history about my TV past, because it's very important to who you might decide to work with as a financial advisor. But I said, Aaron, if you don't mind, I like the old TV shows. So just pick out random TV shows, and let's start, Aaron, with TV shows that have surpassed 300 episodes. What TV shows over there did you find out have had more than 300 episodes?
Okay, so real quick, just a little side note.
Okay.
Fewer than 15 primetime television shows have ever reached 300 episodes. Fewer than 15. So, how long has television been going? 50, 70 years, something like that?
That's crazy.
Fewer than 15 primetime television shows have ever reached 300 episodes. So, congratulations on that.
Thank
All right.
you.
So, Gunsmoke, which ran for about 20 years, 1955 to 1975, it says, they topped out at 480 episodes.
Wow.
So you got a little ways to go before you catch them.
I don't know about that. All right.
Bonanza, which ran for 14 seasons from 1959 until 1973, Bonanza finished with 431 episodes. So again, you got a little bit to catch up on them.
Reachable, though. Wait a minute. Go ahead. All right.
So, okay, now those are the two that we've found that have surpassed you. Now let's go under 300. So,
By the way, speaking of shoot 'em up, both of those were shoot 'em up shows.
Shoot 'em up shows, which you grew up watching.
So other people like those besides me. Go ahead.
So the popular game show, you remember the popular game show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yeah.
Okay. That ran from 1999 until, I think it said like 2006. I think it still kind of runs in daytime, but we're talking about like prime time here. From 1999 to 2006, they finished with 299 episodes.
Ooh, what happened, I wonder?
You got them topped out.
I wonder what happened. Why wouldn't you just throw in one?
Why wouldn't you just throw in an extra one and say, oh, we did 300? Okay, the Andy Griffith Show, which ran from 1960 to 1968, they finished with 249 episodes.
I can't believe I beat old Andy. That's pretty impressive, actually.
Leave It to Beaver finished with 234 episodes.
Wow.
The Mary Tyler Moore Show, which ran from 1970 to 1977, had 168 episodes. And then finally, The Brady Bunch, which ran from 1969 to 1974.
See, they should have had a shoot 'em up episode.
Yeah, they should have had a shoot 'em up. Yeah, that would have been, yeah.
Uh-huh.
They finished with 117 episodes.
Gosh, I thought they were on for more than that. I used to watch them as a kid all the time.
Yeah.
That's pretty. I'll have to admit, again, you've been a great help in that, and all of the staff here. But that's pretty impressive. I guess I didn't realize the significance of 300 episodes. So, folks, by the way, if you're sitting there going, "Well, Tony, I've never seen this show." The Worry-Free Retirement TV show is just like the radio show, only it's a lot more detail. Obviously, because it's television, we can share a lot more graphics. We're on in how many TV stations now, Aaron, throughout the state? 8.
8.
And we have, according to Gina, she keeps up with the ratings, we have anywhere from 20, that's a minimum, to 30,000 households per week watch that show.
Right.
So it's got a pretty good following, and I would encourage you to watch it. Now, there's 2 ways you can watch the TV show. You can go to our website at TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and there's a whole listing of all the different television shows on in Louisville, Bowling Green, and Lexington. That's the stations we're on. If you don't get any of those stations for some reason, you should, but let's say you don't, or you don't have time to watch. I don't know what that might be, but feel free, if you have access to the internet, go to our YouTube channel and tell them how to do that again, Aaron.
There's 2 ways they can do that. One, they can go to www.youtube.com, and in the search bar at the top, they can type in Tony Walker Financial, hit the search button, and it's going to pop up. You're going to be the first person to pop up. You click on Tony's smiling face right there, and you're going to see not only all kinds of past episodes that we've done, but you're going to see various other videos that we've done. You're going to see clips from workshops, clips from webinars, 2-minute vignettes that we've done, really tackling like heavy topics. So that's one way they can do it. But if they want, they can also just go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and right there in the top of the page, there's a little button, a little YouTube button. They can just click on that when they put their mouse over it, when they hover over it is what they say. When they put their mouse cursor over that YouTube button, it'll say YouTube, so they'll know what it is. They can click on that. That'll take them right to the page. They don't have to go to YouTube and type in Tony Walker or Mr. Walker or Walker Financial Services or anything like that.
Yeah, Mr. Walker. I don't know who
Mr. Walker.
They type. That wouldn't be me. No. Oh, and real quick before we take a break here, folks, we hate to bore you with all this, but I'm going somewhere with this. Hang in there. This is good stuff. Last night, I had somebody in from Northern Kentucky that came down to meet with me in Louisville office. This was our 4th meeting. They're doing business with us. And I thought this was so cool. He said, you know what we did the other day, Tony? Their son plays football in college. So they had a long drive back from somewhere. It was like one of these 8-hour trips. They just watched him play football. And since they were thinking about doing business with me, somehow, I guess she just, on her iPhone, through Bluetooth, got on YouTube, and they literally started listening to past episodes of the show.
That's great.
And they said, we just kept playing and said, the more we listen, it's like, yep, this is what we want to do. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, when we come back, again, this is interesting stuff, folks. Hang in there with me. We're going somewhere with this. So where did it all kind of get started? This is actually a funny story. When did I first get on TV? What has fueled this passion of helping savers worry less about money? And why should it concern you and your retirement? You're listening to The Worry Free Retirement. We'll be right back. Who can you trust? It's one of the most important decisions you'll have to make. Question is, are you ready? Well, we're here to help at Tony Walker Financial. We care more about you than we do your money, and we have over 2,000 happy clients and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau to prove it. Rolling over a 401k, confused about Social Security, maybe you're afraid of running out of money. Learn how to use and enjoy and protect your hard-earned money. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started. Welcome back to the Worry Free Retirement. In case you're just joining us, we are going somewhere with this, folks, but it's important, I think, to know where your financial advisor or where your prospective financial advisor, especially if you're dealing with retirement, since it's such a specialized field, where they came from and what is fueling their passion for helping you. I've worked with a lot of financial advisors, tried to train them around the country. You know what most of them, if they're honest, what motivates them in this business?
Money.
Money. I'll say, why'd you get in this business? They'll say, well, to help people. Then I'll laugh. I say, really? And they'll say, well, no, make good money. I say, so first of all, let's be honest about it. There is a lot of money to be made in this business, but if you really didn't get in this business to help people, then you're in it for the wrong reason. So actually, Aaron, I graduated from Western Kentucky University in 1983. Do you know what my major was?
I know that your major was in psychology. I know I've heard you talk about that on past episodes. So I did know that you majored in psychology.
But I had a double major, and I don't know if I've ever told you this.
Guess
what my other major was in?
Oh, I don't know.
Broadcast journalism.
Broadcast journalism.
I wanted to be the next Tom Brokaw. It was funny. I wrote a book here recently, folks. You ought to check it out. It's a great book. It's called Live Well, Die Broke. You can get it at Amazon.com. It's a really good book, a little bit of a memoir of where I've started and where I'm going and my philosophy for spend your money while you can before it's too late. That's really what Live Well, Die Broke is all about. But published in that book is one of the letters I got back when I graduated from college. I would send out a letter with my tape. You would send that to TV stations.
Yeah, it's like a demo reel.
There you go. Yeah. Big old, they were called 3/4 U-matic, big old bulky thing. You'd mail it off. It cost me I could barely afford to mail the thing off. And then I got all these letters back, and all of them would basically say the same thing, thanks but no thanks. And I think what they were really saying is, hey, Tony, why don't you get another profession, Hoss? So luckily, right after college in 1984, I was floundering, married to my wife, Susan, high school sweetheart. My father-in-law, Bill Moore, in Bowling Green, offered me a job in the insurance world. Now, in some ways, I didn't take that to help people. I was desperate. Yeah. I was not making any money. I decided I was not going to make it in the broadcast world, so I took the job. And he trained me well. Immediately got me trained. I became a CLU at a young age.
Now, I think we've heard this. I think we've heard a similar story like this about your granddad and when he took a job at Bell South.
That's right.
That was around the time of the Depression, and he didn't really have he took it.
Good pickup there. Yeah, I think when you're desperate, sometimes it's like, wait a minute, you mean I'll have a steady paycheck? At that time, he was going to pay me $11,000 a year, and I thought. And it did look like an opportunity. I didn't know much about the business, but I said, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I love the business. I got more in the planning side. That's one reason I went out on my own in '89. But what I decided to do is, in some ways, try to pursue broadcasting. And luck would have it, in the mid-'90s, I was on the chamber board in Bowling Green, and a gentleman by the name of Rick Dubose said they'd interviewed me for the chamber to put on TV on the cable, just about what it's like to be on the chamber board. Really, just kind of a 5-minute vignette kind of thing. And Rick said, Tony, you're really good at this. Didn't you major in broadcasting? And I said, yeah, Rick, I'd love to do it and blah, blah, blah. But, I'm a financial advisor now. He said, you know what you ought to do, Tony? You ought to try to produce your own TV show. And I said, well, where would I do that? And he said, cable. So I don't know if you remember those days. I don't know exactly your age and the age range of this would be. But back then, Aaron, you may be aware of this, cable TV was required by the FCC to offer something called local origination channels. Had you ever heard of those?
Yeah, it was like public broadcasting or whatever. It was like Channel 99 or something. Yeah.
So what happened was this airtime existed, and they had to provide you a facility, cameras, and everything. So I told Rick, I said, Rick, are you serious? He goes, Tony, they got to do it for free. So armed with a little bit of knowledge of how to do that, I went down there, met with a real nice young lady by the name of Cheryl Morse. We started recording this show. She goes, what do you want to call it? I said, I don't know, let's call it Your Money Matters. So this was in the mid-'90s. We did episode after episode. She said, hey, you're pretty good at this. And they were of great help. Out of the blue, Aaron, and folks, by the way, I'm going somewhere with this. This is where sometimes when you get on a path, I think sometimes people get impatient or they think the path they're on is going nowhere. Sometimes people don't stay on the path long enough. They really don't. So anyway, I stayed on this path, and she, it was doing okay. I get a few calls in Bowling Green. She said, Tony, I got a call from our Louisville operation. They were tied in with the Louisville cable, same company. And the guy up there's looking for some programming. They had the same problem. They couldn't find a lot of programming. You'd have the guy on there playing guitar, singing. They had to put anybody on. You'd have the guy that had the dancing bear. Whatever they could find, you could do it.
You didn't have a dancing bear?
I thought about it. When times get desperate, I'll try anything on this TV show. But anyway, so I said, well, sure, put it on up in Louisville. Aaron, that show was on, I didn't realize this, it was showed average, once a week, 50 times per week.
Yeah.
Now, if you're
got to fill that time, yeah.
If you're channel surfing, and I got all these calls, I started getting all these calls from Louisville. So a lot of people say, well, Tony, how did you end up in Louisville from Bowling Green? That's the history of it. And I started coming up here, and more people wanted what I was offering, which was this concept of safer money. How do we create a process for safer money? How do we build in more guarantees, which back then nobody was talking about? Now there's a lot more talk about that. There's a lot more people doing annuities. Well, back in those days, Aaron, nobody was talking about that. Everybody was just kind of throwing their money in the stock market. That was during the go-go 90s. We were too. I had a money management practice. But after 9/11, I started going more on the safe route. Fast forward to 2007. You'll know this well. So as fate would have it, I wrote a book back then called The Worry-Free Retirement. I had a publicist trying to find me a station to get on. And out of the blue, I asked this lady, her name, she was out of Texas. I said, can you not find any TV stations in Louisville that might have me on? And she said, well, I guess I could. She was from Texas. She didn't know. She said, why Louisville? And I said, well, I used to have a cable show on. I'd already discontinued the show. This was right before 2007. So out of the blue, she calls me back a couple days later. She goes, hey, Wave TV in Louisville said they'll have you on. They have a show called Wave 3 Listens Live. Since I didn't live in Louisville, I didn't know much about it. Well, I got on there, live TV show, talked about the book, phones rang off the hook. The producer, Tammy, came to me afterwards. She said, Tony, man, that thing was a hit. So about 3 months later, they had me back on again. Well, it went over so well, I negotiated with Wave, and then I became, obviously I had to pay for it, which was fine, I became their featured retirement specialist. You were working there that time.
That's right.
That's how I met you. Every Monday I did that. Do you realize I did that for 7 years straight? Every Monday I'd drive to Louisville from Bowling Green Monday morning. Had to be there at 10 o'clock. They later moved the show times. And then I went out on my own from there after 7 years, and then with their permission, they were very kind about this because I wanted to hire somebody that knew something about production. you and I ventured off on our own, and that's when we started the TV show, The Worry-Free Retirement. And we haven't looked back. So isn't that cool? Just
wow.
To look at
so let's see. So thank you, Rick. Thank you, Cheryl.
There you
thank
go.
you, Tammy.
There you go.
You know, thank you to all these
Wave.
people that,
Thanks
you know,
to
thank
Wave.
you to Wave. Thank you to all these people that have, you know, just been a part of this journey.
That's right.
That, we don't talk about on a regular basis, but they did pave the way.
That's right. Yeah, that's the other thing, folks. You know, whenever you start getting a little too big for your britches, think back in your past, and I guarantee you that what Aaron's saying is so true. It's probably not one or two people. There's probably, could be a dozen, I don't know. But there's somebody back there helping you along. There is no way, I don't care who you are. Everybody says, well, he's a self-made man or whatever. That is never true. There is somebody that's been of help. So I think that's a good lesson. I think this has turned out to be a good show just about life. That's really what we're talking about. And speaking of life, when I come back, I want to get into this book to kind of commemorate. It's ironic it was, we're getting ready to release this. This is a pre-recorded show. So by the time you hear this radio show, the release of the book, Live Well, Die Broke, is February 26th. That's kind of ironic, isn't it, Aaron?
Yeah.
All the timing of all this. And this book, I really believe this, Live Well, Die Broke, is going to be a game changer. So listen closely, because I know a lot of financial advisors listen to this show. This book is so unique because not only is it written for the consumer, in some ways it's written for the advisor. Stay tuned. You're listening to The Worry-Free Retirement. I'll be right back. Who can you trust? It's one of the most important decisions you'll have to make. Question is, are you ready? Well, we're here to help at Tony Walker Financial. You know, we care more about you than we do your money, and we have over 2,000 happy clients and an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau to prove it. Rolling over a 401k, confused about Social Security, maybe you're afraid of running out of money. Learn how to use and enjoy and protect your hard-earned money. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement, and we are just kind of recounting the last 300 episodes of the TV show, The Worry-Free Retirement, and kind of my start in this business and how thankful I am for all those who have been a help. And one of those parties is sitting right here, Aaron Orander. And Aaron, in the break, it was funny. You said, do you remember the first time we met at Wave? And I said, no. So why don't you share that story? This is funny.
Well, it's kind of a weird meet and greet per se, but you know, with you being on every Monday on Listens, you know, for a number of years, when it came around the holidays, you would always kind of treat the entire production staff. You'd bring in a buffet for lunch, or you'd get everybody, little gift cards or whatever. I won't say the amount, but one year you got everybody a gift card, and I came in to work that day and came to my station, and there sat this little gift card. And I, speaking of Tammy, I turned around, looked at Tammy, and I was like, who's this from? And she's like, Tony Walker. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And I did, just kind of, that was cool, that guy. Well, then I came out to the hallway and literally almost kind of bumped into you. And I thought, well, it was really nice of him to do this. He didn't have to do it. So I said, hey, sir, I just wanted to tell you, thanks for that gift card. And you were like, oh, yeah, you're welcome. No problem. You guys do a great job. And that was like, you and I probably hadn't said 10 words to each other before, but we'd worked on the show together for, 2 or 3 years. But just, sometimes you come in, you do the show, you got to get out, you got to, a lot of times you would have to book it out of there because you had so many appointments afterwards.
That's right. Yes, that is funny. So, yeah, you were literally behind the scenes doing all this.
Right.
And probably we never had much interaction. But, yeah, so I'm certainly glad we bumped into each other.
Me too.
It's been a cool journey. I really appreciate it. So we're sitting here talking about, where am I now in this process? Well, first of all, speaking of process, let me share something. Folks, if you don't have, this is what I've learned after 35 years of doing this. Mainly, again, folks, I'm a financial advisor first, TV and radio personality second. But if you don't have a process, now listen closely, a process that allows you to use and enjoy your money while you still can, without the fear of running out of it, you don't have a process. Now, let me say this. Many of you, you're wondering why you're getting all these free dinner seminar invitations from all these financial advisors. They know you've got money, folks. Come on, let's be real. And we're not going to poo-poo these financial dinner seminars. I don't really know what goes on. All I can tell you is I see a lot of people who have been to them. I can't speak to all of them, all right? So those of you hosting these, don't get up in arms. I'm just saying, here's what I see. People come into me, and 3 or 4 years prior to meeting me, some of them will say, hey, I got these annuities, or I got this, or I got that. Can you take a look at it? And I'll say, yeah, sure, those are products, but where's your process? Where's your game plan? And they'll say, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have a game plan. And I'll say, nothing in writing on how you're going to use these. Is that what you're telling me? No, where'd you get these things? Well, I went to dinner seminar, and old fella, nice guy. Blah. So I'll say, so let me make sure I got this straight. So somebody buys you a $50 steak dinner, and after 30 minutes or an hour meeting, you're telling me you just turned over your life savings. I mean, many times these are big accounts, Aaron. We got Joe Lunchbox working hard. Apparently the rule is he doesn't know where to go at retirement, so he gets a dinner seminar. This is what's happening. They go to some of these, and they roll over their money. Most of them put them all in annuities, which is a dangerous tactic. The agents, which we do as well, we all make commissions on it, and the agent, surprisingly, doesn't have to provide a game plan. There's nothing in the law that says you have to do anything. You just sell the annuity, make the money. You don't even have to service the contract. This is crazy. So I always look at people and go, so let me make sure I got this straight. Somebody buys you a $50 steak dinner. You hand them $400,000, not a bad trade-off for them. And you did that without consulting or getting any second opinions from somebody trained in this area. I mean, Aaron, you're not near retirement. Would you do that? Yes or no?
No, I wouldn't do that. I mean, I know I know our target demographic is a little older, but it's like I kind of think about like, okay, so let's say you went on a date and you paid $50 to buy your date a nice steak dinner or whatever. I mean, more than likely, you're probably not going to end the date by saying, okay, well, you ready to get married? Let's do this. I mean, it's one date. You've got to build that trust. You've got to be ready. You've got to know more about that person. That's just my opinion.
Oh, I think it's a great analogy. Yeah, and I think it is an issue of trust. So what I've tried to do over the years is build out this process called the Worry-Free Retirement. It's eligible for anybody that is really more concerned about the return of their money than on it. It's a 5-step process. Now, generally what we cater to, we'll work with any age, but generally, as Aaron said, we tend to work with people that are retired already or they're nearing retirement. People that really, and we're trying to work with people that, for instance, the 401k is a big market for us. People come into us and really they just don't know what to do with these 401k plans, and they're scared, they're nervous. Sometimes they just leave it at the former employer. They're so scared, which is not a good solution. So what we do with our process is take you through the process, and what we're trying to do is show you, while you still can, how to use and enjoy your money. Yesterday, you don't see all the people I meet. I had 20 appointments yesterday in the office, Aaron. One of my clients in for a review, I noticed he had like the oxygen, kind of, the little oxygen tubes. And he walked in with his wife, and he said, well, things have changed since we last met. It's been a couple of years. I knew this wasn't good. I said, so what's going on? He said, well, I've got anywhere from 2 to 12 months to live. Stage 4 lung cancer. Got his wife in. What he wanted to know is he wanted to review things, and he wanted one thing answered. Tony, when I die, not if, he's not saying if, when, is she going to be taken care of?
Going to be okay?
Is she going to have enough money? I said, now, I cannot guarantee you for the rest of your life, or her life, she'll have enough money, but I can guarantee she won't run out of it. He said, that's all I needed to know. So, folks, with that said, that's kind of a segue into this book I just wrote that I would encourage you to pick up. It's called Live Well, Die Broke. And in it is my philosophy about money, life, and using and spending and enjoying it while you still can. Folks, the financial world doesn't want you to use your money. Why? If you take it away from them, they lose money on your money. That's how they make money. They'd rather just throw you a bone every once in a while and not ever realize that things will one day end. So the point is, we all die broke. I don't care whether you have $10 million, $1 million, or $2 in your pocket. When you die, as they say, you really can't take it with you. So what's the point? The point of this book is a summary of my life's work, my philosophy, and more importantly, how to really think through what it is you want to accomplish and how you're going to go best about accomplishing that. I had a nice quote on this book from Bob Russell, a retired pastor at Southeast Christian Church. And the book is helping people to understand that, hey, there's more to life than just money. So get a game plan, work with somebody that has your best interest at heart. That's all I'm saying. So order the book. It's available on Amazon.com. It's called Live Well, Die Broke. I think you'll enjoy it. But in the meantime, if you say, well, Tony, that book sounds well and good, but man, I'd like to meet to talk about my entire situation, that's really easy to do. To do that, just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and click on that Let's Get Started button. Well, until next week, we appreciate you listening to the Worry-Free Retirement. But between now and then, if all else fails, you remember to be worry-free.
If you got it, you don't need it. If you need it, you don't got it, you don't get it, shame on you. Funny, funny, funny what money can do.